Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Andy.
And Andy, we are not just two anonymous nobodies.
No, we're not.
We're somebody on this podcast.
The world famous podcast team.
That's exactly right. But this week we are going to be talking about a movie franchise now that is about a guy who is sort of just an anonymous nobody, but has so much more to him than that.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about Nobody 2, as came out this weekend. Nobody, the first one was sort of a surprise hit for multiple reasons. One, just, kind of a generic action movie premise, but also just the fact that Bob Odenkirk was the star of the movie. And
I was trying to think, like, 20 years ago, what the comparison to that would have been.
yeah,
I don't remember what I came up with. Like someone from like In Living Color or something, all of a sudden becoming a action star maybe, or Saturday Night Live or something like that. I don't know.
yeah, somebody who did really like, and his comedy was real off the wall comedy, not
Very
real mainstream.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so maybe Saturday. I don't know. I didn't come up with anything, but it's hard to explain almost to someone who, if you're not a movie guy, it's hard to explain what Bob Odenkirk all of a sudden being in an action movie was like.
Yeah, and it turned out it worked, and in part because he is a talented guy.
He is
and
talented.
We talked about it obviously last week with writer directors from comedy working in other genres, but just I think anybody working in comedy is probably the hardest thing to do, and so if you can do comedy, you can probably do a lot of things, and I think there's much more success, I think, in comedians doing either dramatic stuff than there are people who are dramatic actors doing comedy.
That's a good point.
Obviously, Odenkirk showing, hey, comedians can even do action if we really commit ourselves to it.
Yeah.
And what, of course, the premise of the movie, what really makes it work is that he just looks like a dude.
He sure does.
I mean, even more so, like, obviously, Keanu Reeves doesn't have, like, the old school 80s Stallone, Schwarzenegger, giant body, but he still has this look.
He's more believable. And you've got a little bit of a history with Keanu, like Point Break, or just different. He's dipped his toes in the water before. I mean, like, Odenkirk doing Nobody was just literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Reeves can just step into a room, and even if he doesn't look like the toughest guy in the room, he always looks like the coolest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And Odenkirk just, he just looks like a dude.
He does.
He just looks like he could be anybody's dad.
He really does.
So him going from that to, action hero is stunning.
And I'm pretty sure I remember this right. I'm pretty sure the original Nobody was kind of like, wasn't it just as theaters were kind of coming back after COVID? Like it was released at a weird time kind of, and yeah, so it was a movie that generated some buzz for a couple different reasons and kind of became this like small, little hit.
Yeah. And I think it proved that Odenkirk had really hit sort of the mainstream. Of course, he kind of hit the mainstream with Breaking Bad and his spinoff Better Call Saul. But yeah, a movie like that carried by him, I think there was a lot of hesitation by the studio. Like, I don't know what this is going to be.
I can't say that I blame the studio,
Right. But as we said, it basically a hit, and which is what gets it a sequel.
Yeah.
Several years later, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today is this sequel. And I mentioned it last week, Andy, that I was sort of tentatively optimistic about this. I'm like, yeah, I like the first, but I don't know if they really had magic for two. It might have just been a one-time thing. But you made the point of like we're just hoping for dumb fun, and I was like, that's a good point. When you go on, your expectation is, can we just have some dumb fun? Can I turn off my brain and just see some fun action up on the screen?
Yep.
Then I think it will be considered a success. So
yeah, harmless fun was what I was going for here.
There you go. Yeah, harmless. Maybe harmless is a better word than dumb. Maybe it's too
dumb
insulting.
Applies also. Yeah, it applies.
All right, so I'm going to attempt to give a summary of this movie, and then we'll jump into our specific reviews of it. So, since the events of the first film, Hutch has re-embraced a life utilizing his lethal talents, and now it has taken over his life to the neglect of his family. So he decides it's time to get away, so he takes them to the location of his one happy childhood memory at an old amusement park town. But it turns out the whole town is a front for a massive criminal operation, and one small skirmish with his kids leads to Hutch taking on the whole thing.
I hate it when that happens.
Many of your vacations have been ruined that way, right?
It always goes that way.
Yep. Andy,
Yeah,
was this movie harmless fun?
it was. I'm actually kind of nervous about podcasting about this movie because I just don't have a ton to say because this movie did exactly what I wanted it to do and not one bit more. It's perfectly fine, and you know, I don't know. I enjoyed it and it was harmless fun.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It was harmless fun. It's certainly, as you say, not breaking any new ground.
No,
The smartest thing this movie did was that it has a runtime of 1 hour 29 minutes. And when I
This
saw
movie's
that, I
so-
said, "They get it. They get it.
they get
know
it.
like
This
we're not making an epic here. We're not
This is-
making
this-
Lawrence of Arabia.
no,
This is
no,
Nobody
no.
2."
Yeah. This is not Godfather 2. This is Nobody 2. You're only coming to see this movie if you know exactly what you're in for. So there's
Exactly.
no need for any kind of setup or anything. And yeah, I'll end up saying things that sound like an insult, but they're not. When it's like they barely even bother to come up with a premise. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. This whole town's just corrupt because of bootlegging. Like bootlegging has something to do with it.
I think
And it's
that
like,
was
okay.
the origin, but it's basically
okay.
just drug
Yeah.
distribution
Yeah.
of every kind. And
Yeah. It's like, oh man, they just picked the town where literally everyone in the town is crooked, just so Bob Odenkirk has people to beat up and fight and kill and do all the things to.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And once again, brilliant for not getting any more complex than that.
No, don't make this any more than it needs to be, and they don't.
Right. So I think once again, we were talking about it with the first one. This whole movie just hinges on Bob Odenkirk and whether or not you believe him or accept him or like him as this character and in this role. And I gotta say once again, like, yeah, I watching it, I was like, I enjoy watching Bob Odenkirk action star.
It's really fun. It is really fun. And like part of it is just, even though this is the second movie, it's still just the weirdness of I'm watching Bob Odenkirk up on screen, hand to hand combat with people. It still seems weird, but yeah, you're right. Literally the whole entire movie hinges on him and you liking him and buying him in this part. And he delivers. There's nothing it's like one of those things I say, like no notes, like, he does exactly what he needs to do for these movies.
Yeah, I think the one element he does have going for him for this movie is he can tap into that, like, I'm unhinged.
He does a really good
I'm a little
job.
crazy. I'm a little crazy, and you don't want to mess with crazy. So like when he sees red, and he's about to unleash, it's like, yeah, this dude. He's again coming from unhinged comedy to unhinged action. He's got to play somebody who's got a little bit of a screw loose, and like he's actually great at that.
He does a really good job. Yeah. And like when I say oh, they don't do anything other than they need to, that has nothing to do with Bob Odenkirk's performance. Cause like I said, he's phenomenal in this.
Yeah, it should be said that the guy who wrote, I think the same people wrote both of them. I know the guy who wrote the first one also wrote the John Wick movies, or was one of the writers of John Wick movies. And we've said it, talking about the John Wick movies, talking about the Nobody movies, they get the formula. Like, you don't have to overdo it. Like, basic setup, cool guy doing cool action, or in Ballerina's case, cool girl doing cool action.
Yeah.
But yeah, they know that they know what the people are there for. They understand the assignment.
Yeah, and if you're going into Nobody 2 because you liked Nobody 1, I can't really imagine a scenario in which you're disappointed. The only way I can think of you're going to leave this movie disappointed is if you just are really anti-sequel, and you just wanted it to be left alone. But, and we've certainly done our fair share of complaining about unnecessary sequels, but it is what it is. And if this is what you're going to get, I will say, like, this, it kind of harkens back to the 80s action movies where it's like let's say Arnold, and I'm not comparing Arnold to Bob Odenkirk, obviously, but it's like, really the idea is just like Arnold's going to do Arnold things. So just put him in a cool setting and stuff. And same thing does apply, even though Bob Odenkirk and Arnold are so different. It's like I do like the idea of like, yeah, we were just supposed to go to like this small town that I had a good memory of, and it's become corrupt. Like, good enough for me.
Yeah, totally works. So I think that I said, it all hinges on Odenkirk's performance, and it does. I think the second most important element is giving you a setup where you want to see him just kick the bad guys' butts, right?
Yeah.
And probably the most effective action scene in the movie is the first, well, not the first one, but the first one at this park.
I know something about
because, the guy, their kids get into a skirmish and they're walking out, and the guy's smacking the little girl kind of in the back of the head on her way out. You could just sense every guy in the theater was like, "Oh, you don't do that." And so when he turns around and goes back, everybody is like, "I just
It's
so
satisfying.
badly want to see this guy. Let the other guy have it." I want to see Bob Odenkirk just beat this guy down for smacking his daughter upside the head. And that's all you need. You need simple premise like that.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And that goes back to your runtime, point where it's just like, yeah, this is such just a streamlined movie.
Yeah. So this movie has surprisingly really good cast, or people,
does.
a lot of known actors in it. But the one that I just wanted to point out is just poor Colin Hanks. Apparently his career is not really going the way that I think probably a lot of people saw it or something. And I'm just like, I don't say that to say he's bad in this movie. I just mean his part is not a flattering part for someone who I think probably would have hoped to be a little better, getting a little better parts than he got in this movie.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Because he's really just playing the buffoon in this movie. And
yeah, he really, really is.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He's literally Tom Hanks' son. It's like, it's tough. It's got to be tough shoes to fill.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, he does. I will say, even when he's the bad guy or the buffoon and all that stuff, he is, maybe it's just because Tom Hanks' name carries so much weight. He is kind of likable though.
Yeah. That's really why I even bring it up, is because obviously somebody's going to play this part. But when it's Colin Hanks, I just look at it and go you're kind of overqualified for this, aren't you?
Overqualified.
And not necessarily looking at his IMDb, because again, he doesn't have a ton of big parts and big hits there. But every time I see him, I think he's good. He's got the acting gene from his dad. But
and then his mom's an actress too.
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie though is kind of overqualified.
It's very true. Very true.
I was going to say, this probably makes me sound bad. I literally didn't know Sharon Stone was in this movie.
I was just about to say, I didn't know she was in it, and it didn't even clock with me at first that was Sharon Stone. And my dad leans over to me and goes, "Is that Sharon Stone?" And I was like, "Is it? It might be." And then,
It's really kind of a strange part for her, but whatever,
Yeah, for sure. And just running through some of the other people. Obviously, Christopher Lloyd returning from the first one, playing his dad. And he's just always a fun presence to see on screen. He is. How old is he now? He's got to be 90 years old or something.
You would think, yeah. Dude was in Taxi in the 70s.
Right. Let's see if I'm a math teacher in this, if I could do this math really quickly. Dude is, I'm sorry, I'm looking at, he was born in 1938.
Holy cow.
13 years shy of, so he's 87.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah. But it just really stands out. What I mean to say is so they bring him in. There's parts of this action movie where he's doing as little movement as necessary or as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Andy, I feel like I've lost your audio again.
Have you? Let's see. Now? Got me? No?
Oh, no. You know what? It's showing that it's registering on here. I just wasn't hearing it for some reason.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
That's so strange. Again, the audience is probably going to be like, "What is Jeremy talking about?" Because it is registering on my service here. But
me too. So hopefully you can hear me on this episode. If not, it'll just be a lot of weird faces on my part.
Yeah, no, I think we got it. So my bad.
I'm gonna try and sit really still for the rest of it. I feel like every time I move, you lose me.
That was a really wonderful aside for everybody watching and listening to the podcast.
Thrilling podcasting right here.
Yeah. John Ortiz also is in this movie playing.
Yeah.
at first you think he's maybe the big bad guy of the movie because he's the first scene he's in is kind of presented that way, and then he ends up being on the side of Hutch as
Yeah.
turns out he's actually under the thumb of Sharon Stone's the actual big bad.
Yeah.
There's a great scene of Hutch saving his son. So yeah,
So I mean, they do like you say like, man, this movie's just so basic and knows exactly what it is and stuff, and it's true. But like, they do try and throw in little wrinkles to the plot here and there.
right. Yeah, it's not that they put in no effort.
No, it's not that they put in the right
yeah.
amount of effort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like kids using AI to write their papers. They're like, write me a B. Make sure it's don't write me the A plus paper
Nope,
because
I don't want to be that obvious. I just need a middle of the road B.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
like what they wrote here. They're like, we're going to write.
That's a great way to
middle of the road
explain
B. Yeah. So, and again, not that I want to go through the whole cast. I mean, the people who play his family
Yeah.
obviously do a good job with Connie Nielsen playing his wife, and
And again, like so overqualified for the role.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those are great little touches that good movies are able to do, where you put an overqualified person in a role and it just makes the movie feel
It elevates the movie.
like a better movie. Yeah,
Yep, it elevates the movie.
absolutely. I do think that this movie shares a shocking amount in common with the worst Beverly Hills Cop movie and Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Top 3.
Yeah.
Well, you throw in the amusement park thing is, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's numerous times I just was thinking of Beverly Hills Cop 3 watching this and just be like, it's kind of funny. That
You know what though? I wanted to ask you, do we feel like amusement parks are underutilized in movies?
For sure.
I did too. I was thinking about that. I was like, there's better use of them. Like, I would totally watch a horror movie where there's just like a slasher on the loose at like Halloween Horror Night at Six Flags or something. It's like, somebody write that movie. I'd go watch it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. You know what, Andy? Maybe you should write that movie.
Edit that part out because maybe I'll go to work on that.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you. Every time I'm at a theme park, which isn't that often because I'm not a big theme park guy, but
Yeah.
every time I'm there, I can't help but imagine, like, what if such and such were to happen here at the theme park? That'd be a good movie.
Adventureland, maybe the best use of a theme park in movies.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
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 As long as we're we're not counting Jurassic Park as a theme park, but
Nah, let's not do that.
yeah, that's cheating. That's
It's cheating. That's too obvious.
it created whole dinosaurs, which is not fair. So I took, as I said before we started recording, I went to this movie with my brother, my dad, and his wife, and my dad and his wife both really enjoyed this movie, and I thought that's exactly what I expected. Like, it's got kind of the broad appeal.
It does.
That my dad just loves a good action movie. He just loves for the good guy to beat up the bad guys, and it gives you that for sure.
This is like a Hall of Fame. Take your dad to see this movie.
Yes.
Because saying like I didn't go with my dad to this movie, but he would have the exact same reaction.
Yeah. So I always appreciate that. I appreciate a good movie that I know, like, this is gonna be a good one for me and my dad.
Absolutely. There's gonna
be our Venn diagrams are gonna overlap, and we're both just gonna enjoy good guy beats up bad guys for sure.
It needs to exist in the world. We need like we've talked about it in our action movie drafts and stuff. Like, we need movies like this to exist.
Yeah. And of course, what we talk about with some other action movies is, in a world where John Wick exists, you do have to up your game with the action a little bit. And I'm not going to say the action there's not anything that stands out quite like, when we were talking about Ballerina and we're like the scene with the grenades or the scene with the flamethrowers or something like that. I don't think there's a scene that stands out quite like that. But the action does, you could tell that a lot of effort and choreography was put into the action so that it would still be good action. You wouldn't watch and go like, well, this is just things happening.
I couldn't agree more. And one thing I thought a lot about, watching this and afterwards is like, I don't think, whenever that was that we turned that corner, maybe it was John Wick, Mission Impossible, whatever, whenever we took action to the next level, whenever that was in time, before that, I don't think a movie like this could have been made.
Yeah.
I really don't, or at least not an enjoyable movie like this, because they would have had to have relied so heavily either on, so here's what I'm saying. Like, you go back and watch Face Off, from 1997 or 8. I don't remember, 97, I think, maybe 98. Anyway, I was actually watching it the other day on Amazon Prime. There's like 7 different parts where you can see plain as day the stuntman. I mean, it's not even like if you pause it and like, it's just blatantly not Nicolas Cage or John Travolta. And I think if they would have tried to take someone like a Bob Odenkirk before we got oh no, before we got, it's still showing that I'm on. Can you hear me?
No, I still don't have you. Again, I see that you're talking. I can see the voice registering on here, and I just can't hear it. All right. Sorry for that technical difficulty. We're just having audio issues, but we're just going to jump right back into it. So, Andy, you were talking about how this movie couldn't have been made a while back.
I don't think we could have made this before we turned this corner where action was so elevated, and I don't know if it's I don't know what's gotten better. I'm not smart enough to know, but like, you can do this now, and it really does, and probably is just Bob Odenkirk fighting these guys. Whereas I was using the reference point of like a face-off or something you can watch from back in the day, and it's just clearly stuntmen, and they relied so heavily on just cutting away and different things. And now, it just kind of lingers on Bob Odenkirk doing this really cool choreography, and I just, point being in all this, I just don't know if this movie would have been anything other than terrible, even 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if this movie was made in the late 90s, I think it is just like Beverly Hills Cop 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a guy who does comedy, doing kind of comedy action, and the action wouldn't have been that great, and it would have just been this awkward, weird stew that Beverly Hills Cop 3 ended up being.
I think that's a great comparison. So, really, the real winner in this movie, I think, is just action movies.
Yeah, I do think, even though nobody's even lighter than John Wick, but they found something in tone with those movies. So like, 80s movies all sort of had this same general tone, and it was like they took themselves very seriously, even though they were very goofy.
Yeah,
and you talk about the time like Cobra is a movie that is goofy as can be, but they take it dead serious.
Oh, Stallone thought he was winning an Oscar for Cobra.
Yeah, and I mean like Bloodsport, Commando, all these movies that are
like on and on, yeah,
goofy, but they all like take themselves very seriously. They are going for like we are dead serious, putting the most serious action hero together
like
ever.
All of Steven Seagal's movies are that way. I mean, these guys really thought they were something.
Yeah, the '90s kind of had its own thing going on. Like it was, the sort of the Jerry Bruckheimer era, your Rock, Con Air, Face Off, all of those sort of things.
Just
it was
big and loud and big explosions.
Yeah. A lot of the Die Hard effect played out through the 90s too, where you started to get more of the normal guy as the hero, but the action's still big and loud.
Yeah. For years, action was just Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a ship, Die Hard on a plane, da-da-da.
Yeah. In the 2000s, well, you kind of get 2 tracks. You kind of get the superhero action movie, but you also get kind of like really dark, gritty action movies, I think, too. Yeah. I don't think it's until like about the John Wick movies that they found action that kind of strikes a tone where it's like, I saw it described as like John Wick is almost slapstick comedy in an action movie.
Right.
And that's, nobody kind of follows that formula too. Like it's a really elaborate, difficult to do action that impresses, but the tone somehow is still like this lightheartedness to it that's just easily digestible. And I don't know, I just can't think of a movie from like the 80s or 90s or even early 2000s that has a similar tone to like the John Wicks, the Nobody movies.
No, you're exactly right. And I think easily digestible is the perfect way to describe it. And these, Nobody and Nobody Too, like they do such a good job of like, they put their heroes in some peril, but you never think for a second that anything bad is going to happen to them.
Right.
To me, I don't. So that's where your easily digestible comes in, where it's like you're not tense or nervous or sitting there going, oh my gosh, what if they kill such and such? It's like they're all going to be fine. Everyone's going to be fine, which makes it a very easy viewing experience.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as I'm saying, like probably the movie that is the most like that maybe is sort of the original template for exactly that kind of tone is Commando.
Yeah.
Commando kind of, it had more fun than a lot of the other 80s action movies. And it kind of knew it was a little cheesy.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
cheesy. And you know for a fact he's going to rescue his daughter, and they're just going to walk
yeah,
right out of there, and they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and it's a movie that's really just made to have Arnold doing cool action movie things, to give him a
Oh,
big gun that
yeah.
never runs out of bullets, that just blows away all the bad guys, and
Yeah.
for him
There's that.
to
There's that
throw
shot.
saws and chop guys'
Yes.
heads in half.
There's that shot in Commando, like he gears up to go get his daughter, and like he's holding like literally like a bazooka, and he's got like 600 guns and blah blah blah, and it's like that's why they created this movie, just so Arnold could have that pose and everything and throw grenades. So yeah,
Exactly.
who would have thought in 2025 we'd be comparing Arnold and Bob Odenkirk movies?
Well, they just have different the exact opposite career trajectories, because Bob started in comedy and then decided to dip his toes into action, and Arnold did all this action. And was like, I want to do some comedies. I want to be in a movie where I'm twins with Danny DeVito, or a movie where I'm pregnant.
I want to be pregnant Arnold. I want to be in Jingle All the Way, a classic.
I, I I mean, sadly, there are a lot of people out there that would tell you, yes, it is a holiday classic.
I saw Jingle All the Way in the theater, but that's probably
Nice.
yeah, probably a difference. That's probably a different podcast.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, Andy, you said it from the beginning that there's probably not going to be a lot to say about this movie, other than like it's a fun time. Get to the theater. I think it's an enjoyable watch. It's just not going to have a lot of elements that are like, hey, let's really break it down on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to do a short podcast for no reason, but yeah, I mean, what else do you do? Like, it's enjoyable. It kind of hits the notes that you want it to hit. We could talk for a second. I could tell you about the box office if you want.
So that is something I definitely wanted to talk about. I guess I'll throw out the Rotten Tomato numbers too. So this is it's gotten a 77% from critics, 90% from audiences. So once again, it's just sort of a easy crowd pleaser.
You know what though?
But I did
I'm
want to
not
compare.
surprised. I'm not surprised at the 90% from the audience.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah.
But the original 84% from critics, 94% from audiences. So you'll always expect that with a sequel, especially a sequel that's pretty much just following the same formula. The first one's always just going to hit a little bit more than the
Yeah.
second one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Andy, tell me a little bit about the box office.
Pretty soft opening. $9 million opening. Really, I think what's happening is all movie attention right now is just on weapons.
Yeah.
And we just did weapons. I'm not trying to take away from Nobody Two, but like weapons had an unbelievable second week holdover, and it's just kind of dominating movie conversation right now. It's all over my TikTok. I have, as we all know, I have teenage kids. They're talking about it. Their friends are talking about it. Weapons is what's dominating movies right now.
Yeah, and I think it's telling that, at my theater, Weapons is still the IMAX movie, not
Yeah,
Nobody 2. And usually, if a big release comes out, it's going to become the new IMAX movie. And
Yeah,
the fact that it took a back seat is like, I know Weapons is still the movie.
it is. Now, I will say, Nobody Two. I don't know. What did you find? I saw $25 million budget.
That's what I saw as well.
So, I don't know what kind of legs this movie will have. I feel like people who really wanted to see it probably did go out and see it. Although I have always heard that a lot of times, like we were talking about, like our dads liking this movie. Sometimes people of over a certain age don't feel the need to rush out opening weekend to watch. So it might have a decent little holdover. It's not going to turn any kind of huge profit. I could be wrong. I would not hold my breath for a Nobody 3.
Yeah.
But one thing I did find out doing a little research about Nobody 1, a lot of the reason they wanted to make a sequel is because of how well Nobody 1 did after the theatrical release. Whether that means streams or what, and we've talked a lot about that, how that's kind of a weird measuring stick. But it might be a movie that does live on a little bit once it hits, Amazon Prime or whatever. So we'll see. But it didn't come bursting out of the gates.
Right. And I guess if there's one thing to be optimistic about if you're the studio and you're hoping it has a decent second weekend holdover, is there's not a big release, or not something that I would expect would be a big hit next weekend. So Highest to Lowest does come out. But did we ever figure out if that's a theatrical release or if that's going straight to streaming?
I don't know. I don't know. I should know
I'll
that,
Google it
and I
here.
don't.
But then
Yeah.
the other
I'll
one
say, yeah.
is Eden, which
I just
I don't think
I
Eden's going to
don't,
be a big hit either. Even if
I,
it's a good movie, it's just the demographic. I don't think it's very big.
no. I think next weekend's box office will look almost identical to this weekend's, just a little bit lower of numbers.
Yeah, you're probably
So
right.
it's like I always talk about. The second weekend of any movie is what's really, really important. So, nobody too needs to have somewhat of a decent holdover if it wants to get into profitability.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Highest to Lowest is at the theater, so I think it is just straight to streaming.
What a weird
Yeah,
time we live in.
unless it's one of these weird things where it's not the actual wide release date, that I saw. So I don't
We've
know.
talked about that before.
We'll figure it out. It looks like actually sort of the big release of next weekend is the animated movie Ne Zha 2, which is the highest grossing movie of the year so far worldwide. And so they're
Obviously.
putting it out with the English. It's a I don't know where it's from, Japan, China, somewhere, and
Yeah.
they're putting it out with English translation.
Okay.
Honey Don't also comes out next weekend, and
Oh, that looks crazy.
yeah, I don't know how to feel about that.
I don't either. It does look like it has unhinged Chris Evans, which can be funny sometimes.
Yeah, I just
So
think if I wasn't so low on Driveway Dolls, I'd probably be a little more optimistic about this one.
it really has the same vibe, doesn't it? Like in the
It
trailer
does.
and stuff.
It
Yeah. That
feels
was,
yeah.
you listed that as one of your worst movies of the year last year.
I did, yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently it's supposed to be a trilogy of sorts, even though they're not like connected movies. But
I heard that.
yeah, Driveway Dolls, Honey Don't, and something else. And I'm like, ooh, it might just be a whole trilogy that I just
Pass
sort of
on.
brush aside. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll end up watching it. I just like the people involved too much not to be like, oh, let's give it a chance, just in case Driveway Dolls was the exception. But
It is a hard movie to ignore because it does have a really good cast.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Aubrey Plaza. She's one of my favorites. So
Yeah, I like her
she's in
too.
it, and other people are really good in it. Chris Evans, like you said, Charlie
Yeah.
Day showing up in it. So
Yep.
all right, Andy, I think we've already actually done a shocking amount on this podcast, more than I was worried we were going to do. But
Right.
before we go, we certainly do want to bring the conversation back to weapons because we sung its praises last week, and we both talked about how we couldn't wait to get to the theater again. I have failed to do it, but you have gotten back more than once to see it. So I've got to know, like, how has your repeated viewings
Dude.
affected your thoughts on weapons?
It has done nothing but increase my thoughts or increase how positive I am about weapons. That movie is unbelievable. It is turning into such a fun movie. So I wish I could collectively gather the movie watching community and just, hold a meeting and be like, if you want to make noise during a movie, this is how you do it. Every screening I've been to of weapons, people are oohing and awing and gasping and laughing in the right way, though, not in an obnoxious way. And once they get it out, they stop because they want to see what's coming next. And every screening I've been to, it is getting audible reactions from people. When I leave, as I'm walking back into the lobby and out the door and to my car, I'm hearing conversations about it. Like, it is really, really something. I think it's really something special. And if I'm not careful, I'll just end up doing a whole nother episode on it. But it's just, man, it's that structure, and the way Krager just, man, he had just constructed a masterpiece. And every cliffhanger we talked about when it switches characters' point of view is amazing. And there's so many cool shots in that movie. I'll just go ahead and give you a hot take. Nominate Amy Madigan for the best supporting actress. She's unbelievable in that movie.
Yeah, I will not argue that at all.
She's unbelievable. My fondness for that movie grows every time. The last time I watched it, I really latched on to how good the score is in that movie. I think I talked about it in our pod when they show Alex's point of view and him and Gladys are out on the porch as the kids are running into the basement. Just this huge, loud, ominous score is just blaring, and man, I just think it's just an incredible shot. And just everything we talked about, I feel it still, except more. So just can't say enough good things about weapons. I would be shocked if it's not my number one movie of the year, when we do our list.
It's certainly, yeah, it'll certainly be in high competition for my spot at number one. I can't wait to get back to the theater to watch it again.
Yeah, and it
So
it it had a phenomenal. It only dropped like 40%. It made like another $25 million this weekend. It's well over $100 million gross already. It's really a big deal. Krager's now a big deal, and it's just a huge win for theaters, for horror, for original horror, for everyone involved. Everyone is coming out of this movie for the better.
So I did listen to an interview. You probably listened to the interview as well on the big picture with Krager
I
and
listened to it twice.
him talking about his Resident Evil movie. I was like, we talked about it before. We were like, I'm not super psyched that he's doing Resident Evil because I'd rather see him do original stuff. But hear him talk about it, I was like, okay, now I'm getting a little more excited. He talked about how he's like, it's pretty much an original idea that just sort of takes what he likes about the game. He's never even seen the other movies, and it's starring Austin Abrams, who we
Yeah.
both loved in Weapons. And I'm like, okay, everything you're saying is just making me like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, let's see
Yeah.
your Resident Evil.
Yeah, he's changing my mind, in real time. Because I was, like I already said, it's like, oh, come on, man, don't do Resident Evil. Like, keep doing original stuff. And then listening to that interview, it was like, okay, now he's got me excited now.
Yeah, and then he said that there's another project he's also going to be working on that he said he thinks is the best thing he's ever written, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, all right, like,
This guy's got my full attention.
yeah. I mean, it'd be curious to see because sometimes just because it's his favorite thing doesn't mean it's going to translate to my favorite thing. But I am curious to what he thinks is even better than Weapons. So
Yeah, me too. So just and like we talk about, this is why I love movies because a movie like Weapons comes out and I was looking forward to it for a long time, and then it matches your expectations and more. And then, like I said, you just like listening to other people's conversations or reading movie conversations online. Like it is the movie people are talking about, theorizing about. One unfortunate thing is I've already heard rumblings of an Aunt Gladys like prequel movie. I don't want that.
no,
Don't want that. Leave it alone, studios, please. But it's so great. I can't imagine you won't have the same thoughts going to see it again.
yeah, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Maybe that might just be what I do tonight, Andy. I don't know. We'll see.
I think you should. I'm going to encourage it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Last thing I'll say is, so we said next week is, we've got a couple releases. We'll talk about what we're going to talk about. The week after that is, I mean, there's some interesting releases like Ben are Caught Stealing, but it's also, I believe that's the weekend that Jaws is re-releasing, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
got something big to look forward to in a couple weeks is Jaws for its 50th anniversary hitting the big screens again.
Yep. It goes without saying that I'm excited.
Yeah, and we talked about it. We did an episode early on about Jaws, but that was it feels so ancient in our archives.
Feels like
that
20 years ago.
we're gonna do it again. We're gonna watch Jaws in theaters, and we're gonna give a fresh 50th
can't-
anniversary review of it. So
I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
me neither. All right, Andy. Appreciate you jumping on here with me and helping
Yeah.
battle through the technical difficulties with me.
Hopefully this episode makes it out into the world.
Yeah. You know what? The nice thing is, though, usually I'm like really disappointed when the viewing numbers aren't as high as I'd like. And sometimes we do an episode, I'm like, I'm okay with that one not being
Please don't
super
watch
high.
that. Yeah.
We didn't crush it in that one like we did the other ones.
Exactly.
But some of them, like our weapons episode, it should have thousands of views. I don't know what's
It's a
wrong
good
with
we were
the
just so
algorithm
excited.
is letting us down. Yeah,
It is. Come on, YouTube. I'm blaming you.
that's right.
Yep. Yep. Hopefully you can hear this and go see Nobody 2. It's a lot of fun. I don't want to
Yeah.
end
Take
the
your
Nobody
dad.
2 episode. Take your dad. Find your dad. He'll like this movie. Whoever your dad is, he'll enjoy it.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us and powering through this episode with us. We will see you next week.
See you next week.